Good morning, all. Good morning, all.
It's audible, Nirmala. Basically,
Princess. Thank you, Princess. Yeah, I can hear you.
Padmapriya ma'am? Ma'am,
Yes,
can you
ma'am.
hear
Yes,
me?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Clearly audible, ma'am. Yes,
Okay, ma'am.
please start, ma'am.
Okay. Ma'am, shall I share my screen?
Ma'am, once again, ma'am. Once again.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Coming together is beginning, staying together is progress, working together is success. A pleasant morning to all the faculty delegates joined here for the second day faculty development program on machine learning using Python from 13/3/2023 to 17/3/2023, organized by Department of Computer Applications, Hindustan College of Engineering and Technology. Thank you, Dr. S.T. Padmapriya, Assistant Professor, Data Science, Department of Applied Mathematics and Computational Intelligence, Tyagaraja College of Engineering, Madurai, for accepting our invitation to be the resource person for this FTP. To start with, I request our beloved head of the department to welcome the gathering.
Very good morning. Hope I'm audible to every one of you.
Yes, Sudha, you're audible.
கல்வி பெருமைக்காக தேடி பெறுவது அல்ல, பெற்றதை கொண்டு பெருமை தேடிக் கொள்வது. Love to start the day with such a beautiful quote. Very good morning. Happy to meet you all this bright morning. Hope we are meeting your expectations of the program. As an outcome of outcome-based learning, you have been provided with a quiz link, the WhatsApp group, and that is only for a self-evaluation. I welcome every one of you here for day 2 FDP on machine learning using Python. Our resource person for the day, Dr. Padma Priya, ST Padma Priya, is currently working as Assistant Professor of Data Science in the Department of Applied Mathematics and Computational Intelligence, Tyagarajar College of Engineering, Madurai. She has published more than 20 research articles in Scopus and SCI Index journals. She has written a book titled MRI-based Brain Tumor Analysis System, a deep learning approach. Her research focuses on AI, ML, deep learning, medical image processing, and data analysis. Without further delay, let me hand over the session to Dr. S.T. Padma Priya. Madam, over to you. Thank you for accepting our invitation. And once again, I welcome every one of you here, our participants, staff members, as well as the speaker.
Thank you,
very
ma'am.
much.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to present here. So I'll start my session. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, can you see my presentation?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay. So good morning, everyone present here. So I'm going to address about basics of Python. I guess most of you are familiar with Python. So most of them come from reputed institutions, and you know the basics of Python. Anyhow, the topic assigned to me is to address about the basics, and I'll finally relate it with ML. So how we are going to apply this programming language in ML and everything. Um, so Python. Why Python? Why we are choosing Python for ML and DL? We have some other high level languages, right? C, C++, Java, and everything. So they are available as
Ma'am?
open source. Hello?
Yeah,
Yes?
ma'am, can you make the screen to be full? Right, full
Okay.
screen.
You can go to the slideshow mode.
Okay. Ma'am, whether it's visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So can anyone say why Python is more advanced than other languages such as C, C++, then Java, etc.? So it has a very simple syntax. So it is very easy to write, and it doesn't have more technical things, that is a semicolon and everything. So we can write it in very simple, using very simple syntax. And it is one of the powerful programming language, and it is widely used. So most of the popular companies and organizations, they use Python. For example, YouTube, Google, Yahoo, and NASA. So these organizations, they use Python for developing their applications. So Python can be freely downloaded from python.org website. So you can go and go to this website and you can download the versions of Python. So for ML and DL, you can download Python 3.5. So more than 3.5 version. So that supports ML and DL. So this Python language was created by Guido van Rossum. So he released this version in early 1990s. So the Python name Python that arrived from British comedy television show Monty Python's Flying Circus. So it is one of the high level language. We all already know other high level languages such as C, C++, Perl and Java. And we all know what is meant by low level languages. So they are known as machine languages or assembly languages. So these languages can be easily read by the computers. So the programs that are written in high level language have to be processed before they can be executed. So this takes some extra processing time, and this is one of the small disadvantage of high level languages. So we'll be using interpreters and compilers to do this task. uh, so to convert high level languages to low level languages, we'll be using interpreters and compilers. So an interpreter, what it does is it will process a program a little at a time. So it will alternately read the lines and perform computation. So source code will be converted to machine language by the interpreter, and finally the output will be produced. So this is how the compiler reads the program and translates it completely. So source code, it is sent to the compiler. What the compiler will do is it will convert the source code to object code, and finally the object code will be sent to the it will be converted to executable format, and finally the output will be displayed to us. So this is the flow of execution of Python. Since it is one of the object-oriented programming language, so it will be converted, the source code will be converted to object code first, and then it will be converted to executable format. So it is also considered as an interpreted language because Python programs are executed by an interpreter. So two types of interpreter, two ways to use the interpreter in Python. One is interactive mode and another one is script mode. So interactive mode will be using a Python shell. So may I know any participants they have previously used Python other than Anaconda? So how many of you has experience of using a Python shell? Used Python shell, right? So you'll be having some knowledge about Python earlier. So the shell will consist of this shift operator. So you can directly type whatever you need. Small Python code can be typed here. That is 1+1. The result will be given. That is 2 will be written. So this is shell prompt. So directly you can type something and you can get the reply. This is interactive mode. Whereas in script mode, if we have more than 10 or 20 lines in program, so we can type it in different notepad, right? So this is a Python shell. Okay, this is a clipping of Python shell. So you can directly type here and the result will be given here. So in script mode, if the number of lines of code is larger, you can save it in a separate file. So the script name should end with .py. Okay. So working in interactive mode is convenient for testing small pieces of code because only small pieces of code can be executed and we can see the results then and there. In case of large code blocks, we need to store it differently and then we will be executing. So you have to save all the Python files with extension .py. So this is script mode. So here the file name is first.py. Okay. So here just we have print inside the brackets 4 plus 3, 4 minus 3, 4 greater than 3, then hello world. So you can see the output of the code given above. So this is saved in a separate file, and finally this is executed, right? While executing, we'll be using command prompt. Okay. So here you should track the folder in which where your program resides, then your program name .py. So finally the program will be executed and you can view the results. This is script mode. So we can go inside some basic concepts that are used in Python. What is an identifier? We all know, we have studied these concepts in C, C++ and everything. Can I get some reply from the participants? So what is an identifier?
It is a variable, ma'am, just to hold
Yes.
the value.
Yes, it is a variable name. So whatever name we give to some program element, it may be a variable or something. So an identifier should be there. So what is an identifier? We should not give a variable name as we like. So it should be recognized by us. So what is the purpose of using that variable in the program, right? So it is just a sequence of one or more characters. So it is used to name a given program element. We are naming it, right? For example, if you are calculating the sum of two integers, right? So for two integers, you can give any variable name, that is a, b or something. And finally, the result of these two, the addition of these two variables can be stored in sum or total or something. So which can be easily identified by us, right? So it is a total. The total of these two variables will be displayed, that will be stored in different variable named total, right? So that is the notion of the identifier. So in Python, identifier may contain letters and digits, but it cannot begin with a digit, right? So underscore character can be used. So these are some of the rules for specifying the identifiers. um, so you can use n number of characters for naming an identifier, and digits can come in between. But the identifier name should not start with digit. Okay. For example, you can see in the slide. So line salary, emp1, emp underscore salary. So these are some of the identifiers that we named. Right. We can coin the name like this. So Python is a case sensitive language. So if you declare line, so here L is in lower case, but here if you access this variable using this one, that is uppercase L, so it is entirely different. It will show you error, right? So it is case sensitive. So you should be cautious about the uppercase and lowercase while using declaring the identifiers and everything. So the underscore character can be used, but it is also should not be used as the first character. Okay. So spaces are also not allowed as a part of an identifier. We should not give any spaces in between the identifiers. So these are some of the valid identifiers. Then invalid identifiers, right? So valid identifiers you can see here. So total sales. Okay. So invalid identifiers, here it is given with quotes. So if you declare the identifiers inside quotes, then it is invalid. Okay. So here you can see there is a space in between total and sales. So this is also not allowed in Python. So here sales for 2010, if it is written as 2010 sales, then it is also not valid because it starts with a digit. Then here sales underscore for underscore 2010, it is valid. Here and it starts with underscore. So the identifier name should not begin with underscore. So it should not begin with underscore. It should not be inside in quotes. Okay. It should not begin with any digit. So these are all invalid identifiers. So there should not be any space in between the identifiers. So these are some of the conventions behind naming the identifiers. So what is a keyword? What is a keyword?
Ma'am, which has a predefined meaning in any particular language, like reserved words, like for loop, for if.
Yes, ma'am. So some keywords will be there. For example, if, okay, if we use some conditions in between programming. So if else if elif, for else if in Python we'll be using elif, then if and then for and so these are some of the keywords. So there are many keywords in Python. So these keywords should not be used as an identifier. So if it is used as an identifier, then it will provide syntax error, right? So regular keywords in Python should not be used as the identifier. For example, here in this example you can see and is equal to 10. And is a keyword in Python, so it shows shows a syntax error here. So these are some of the keywords in Python. You can see the keywords here. Okay, so these keywords should not be used as identifier names inside our program. So variables and identifiers. So variable is a name. Okay, it is also an identifier that is associated with the value. So here a simple description of a variable is given here. Okay, so here the variable name is num and the value assigned to num is 10. Okay, we all know this already. So if it is assigned like this, num is equal to 10, then a space will be created for this variable, and in that space the value will be recorded. Okay, whenever we need to access this value, we'll be using this name. Okay, num. So this can be done by using the assignment operator. Okay, equal to operator. Then comments. So in C, what we'll be commenting some lines in the program, right, to explain some places. So where we have done what operation and everything. So inside every program, we'll be giving some description of particular code block. Okay, so that should not be executed by the compiler, right? So it should be commented. So in C, may I know what symbol we'll be using for commenting a line?
If it is single line comment is /, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And if it is going to be a block comment, /* and followed by //.
/*, yes. So Python also has this kind of comment lines, commenting some lines. So single line comments begin with hash character here. Okay, there in C we'll be using // here we'll be using hash character. Okay, so if we use this hash character, that single line will be commented. So Python ignores all text that comes after hash to the end of the line. So if the comments spanning more than one line, okay, so in case of C, /* and in the end of the paragraph we'll be using //, right? Here we'll be using uh, triple double quotes. Okay, so last line in this slide shows the example of multi-line comment. Okay, so this will be used to show the commented paragraph or commented lines, multi-lines. Okay, this is the difference between C and Python for commenting some lines. So literal. What is a literal? What is meant by a literal? So a literal is a sequence of one or more characters, okay, that stands for itself. For example, numeric literal. Okay, numeric literal will contain integer, floating point, then everything. So you all know that numeric literal, it contains digits from 0 to 9. Okay, so an optional sign character 1 or 2 or a possible decimal point. Okay, the letter E will also be used for exponential terms. Okay, exponential notation. So floating point value, you all know that it will have some decimal points. Then commas are never used in numeric literals. Okay, inside the numeric literal, commas are never allowed. So these are some of the numeric literals, examples of numeric literals in Python. Here you can see some integers 5, okay, 5, then floating point in integers 5.5.0, 5.125. So these are all numeric literals in Python. So maximum what so this plus these are signed literals, okay, plus 2500 minus 2500. It will show the sign of the values. So an explicit positive sign character is rarely used, because without positive sign we can the system can recognize that it is a positive value. So it is rarely used, but you can give like this also. So both plus and minus can be given as literals here, numeric literals. So here you can see some incorrect numeric literals in Python. So in all these digits you can see commas, right? So there should not be any comma in between the numeric literals. Okay, if there is any comma, then it is not considered as the numeric literal in Python. Okay. So do everyone have Python in your system now?
Dear participants, you can raise your hand so that we'll unmute yourselves, or you can just type your answers in the chat box.
If you have installed Python in your system, you can please try this and you can tell me the answers. Can anybody reply the answers? What will be the output for these? So we are just typing some numeric literals in the shell prompt. So participants, do you have Python shell with you installed in your systems?
Ma'am, for the first three things, the same information is getting displayed, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
For 1,024, it gives a syntax error.
Yes.
And for 0.0124, it has been displayed as such.
Yes.
And
Yes,
for
ma'am.
1,024, 4.46, it gives a syntax error.
Yes, 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 ma'am. So now you can understand what is the error here. So we should not use commas in between. Okay, right? So everything you type, it will be as it will be shown as it is. Okay, except that commas, right? It will show syntax error. So the next one is string literals. Okay. So string literals, what are string literals? So numeric literal will be giving some numerical constant values. For string literals, so what is a string? It is a sequence of characters, right? So it can be represented inside quotes. It may be inside the double quotes or it may be inside single quotes. It's okay. So Python accepts both. So whatever characters you give inside the quotes, it will be considered as a string. For example, this hello, Smith, John, okay, Baltimore, Maryland. So these are some of the examples of string. Okay. So it can be both single quotes and double quotes can be used. So for example, in your shell prompt, if you type print, then open bracket, inside the quotes, welcome to Python, then welcome to Python will be displayed. So that will be the output, right? Whatever you give inside the quotes, it will be printed as it is. Even if it is numerical term, then it is also considered as a string only. Okay, whichever we type inside the quotes, it will be considered as a string. So these are some of the examples of string literal values. So here inside the single quotes, only single character is given. Even though it is a single character, it will be considered as a string. Okay, because it is given inside the quotes. Okay. So the next string, it contains non-letter characters also. You can see the special characters here at. Okay, it will also be considered as string. Okay. Okay, now you can understand from these examples, you can understand that whatever you give inside the quotes, then it will be considered as a string. Okay, even it is a blank character, no character. Here we have given only a empty space, right? So it is also considered as a string. So if you give nothing here, only quotes, then it is considered as a empty string. Okay, whatever given inside the quotes, it will be a string. So can you try this? Can you try this? Without trying also you can say. Say the answers. So for the first, hello will be printed. Okay, what happens if this statement is executed? Can you please check?
Ma'am, for first print, hello will be printed, ma'am.
Okay.
The second case, one second.
Mm.
It gives a syntax error like unterminated string literal.
Mm. Yes. Why we are getting this?
Because once you have opened by a single quote and you have closed by a double quote.
Double quotes, yes. So whenever we represent a string, so it should be given either using single quotes or double quotes. Okay, these should not be mixed. Okay, if you give single, if you start the string with single quotes, it should end with single quotes. Okay, the same vice versa for double quotes also. These are some of the examples of declaring the strings. Sorry, printing some strings. Okay. So next one is control characters. Okay, so these control characters, they'll control the display of output. We all have some previous knowledge on these characters, so we have even used some escape characters, escape sequence in C, C++, etc. Can you please mention some of the escape sequence characters that we used in C?
New line, ma'am, slash n, slash
uh,
t,
/t. So /n for uh,
line
new
character.
line, new line character. Yes, we'll get the output that is printed in new line. So if we give /t, then some tab space will be there between the first literal and the second output. So these are some of the control characters. So these are used for controlling the display of our output, right? So for example, you can see this code. So print inside the bracket, you are given hello, then \n, then another name. Okay, hello \n, then Jennifer Smith. So the output will be like hello. Then this escape sequence /n is identified. Then the other output goes to the next new line. Okay. So here we are controlling the output without using any keyboard strokes, right? We are not using any enter button or something. We are just giving these escape sequences so that the output is displayed according to that. Okay. If we need to display a table in C, okay, display some data as a table. So what escape sequence will you will be using? Can you say? So if consider that you have some student data, okay, student name, marks and everything you have, and you should display it in a table format. Okay, not exact table, but in the format of the table. What will you do? We'll be using escape sequences only. So which escape sequence will be used for tabulating?
Is it /t, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. /t. So for the next record, we'll be using slash new line, right? So it will be printed in this format. So for controlling the display of our output, okay, for our easy viewing of the output, we'll be using these escape sequences. So you can try it out. If you have the shell with you, you can try it out. Okay, these are very simple. So the output will be displayed according to the escape sequences that we give. Will you have a try or let me move to the next topic?
Ma'am, can we get the code, ma'am, in chat box so that it will be easy for us to try?
Oh, in the chat box.
Yes, ma'am. It's difficult to look and type, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Can you try this out? The last one, /n inside the quotes.
Ma'am, the output is 1, 2, 3 in the next line, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I saw it in the chat box. Thank you. Okay. So these are the purpose of using escape characters. We are controlling our display, this output display using these sequences. So these are the data types in Python. Okay. Uh, so it is already built in the core of language, and it is easy to use, and it is straightforward. Already we can use it with using the keywords, right? So the data types that are supported by Python includes Boolean values, none, numbers, strings, tuples, lists, and sets. Okay, we all know that Boolean values, either it will be true or false or 0 or 1. Okay, none, that is explicitly we are saying that there is no value, that is none is assigned. Then numbers, you all know, numeric literals and everything, strings, then tuples, list, sets, dictionaries. Uh, I'll explain it one by one. Okay. So we all know that Boolean values will have one of two values alone. That is, either it will be true or it will be false. Okay. So you can see here. So print bool of true. So the value will be true. So if you print bool of false, the value will be false. Okay. Can you find? Uh, can you infer something from these example? Can you say me a conclusion by seeing these examples, participants? So what happens? So where it is printing true and where it is printing false? Can you please infer from these examples?
Ma'am, when it is null set, or when we give it as none or empty, then
Mm.
it prints false, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Very good, ma'am. Nice. So, as ma'am said, okay. So whenever there is empty values, okay, it is then if there is 0 and none, so if there are no values given inside the bool, then the output is false. Okay. If it contains some values inside the bool function, then it prints true. Okay. So none. So it is one of the special data type in Python. Okay. So what it says is the data type means it is non-existent. It is not known or it is either empty. Okay. It can be used to check emptiness. So in some cases we should find whether. So in case of stack and all, you can check whether the stack is full or empty. Okay. You can use this keyword there. So numbers. So we all know that these are the types of numbers that are supported by Python: integers, floating point numbers, then complex numbers, fractional numbers. So what are integers? We all know that. Okay, integers, they are whole numbers. Okay, don't have any precision. Mm, So this is example of assigning an integer to a variable. So a is equal to 10. So the value of a is 10. Again, this value of a is assigned to another variable. Okay, b is equal to a. So b will also have explicitly the value 10, right? We can assign the values like this. So the next one is floating point numbers. So what is floating point numbers? So it will have some decimal points, right? Some fraction numbers. Okay, it is also supported in Python. So these are some of the examples of floating point numbers. Okay, you can see integers. Okay, integers of unlimited size, then floating point numbers. Okay, octal, hexadecimal, and binary literals. So this 3.x, 2.x denotes the version of Python. Okay, this is supported in Python 3, 3 point something. So more than 3. So this kind of representation for octal, hexadecimal, and binary literals are used. Whereas in the version that belongs to 2, so here the hexadecimal and everything is represented like this. So these are complex number literals. Okay, so we all know that complex numbers will have real and imaginary parts, right? So it is also supported in Python. So sets. These are sets. So sets we what is meant by a set? So a set is a collection of unique elements, right? It will contain either integer or either character. It will not have any intermixed characters and integers and etc. So there will be uniqueness in defining sets. So we can see it little bit elaborately. Okay. So I'll explain you in elaborate. Then decimal. So these are decimal and fraction extension types. Then this is Boolean type and concept. So we seen some examples for Boolean. Okay. Okay. So there are two conditions that occur in Python. One is arithmetic overflow and another one is arithmetic underflow. Can you say what is meant by arithmetic overflow and underflow? So overflow happens it is a condition, okay, when the calculated result is too large in magnitude. Magnitude is nothing but the size. Okay, if it exceeds the size, then it is known as arithmetic overflow. So you can type this and you can see. You can type this value and you can see this is exponential terms. Both are exponential terms, right? You can calculate this and you will get this result. Special value, that is infinity, right? So it overflows the limit, right? So the result will be displayed as INF. Okay, so we will not get exact result here. So this condition is known as arithmetic overflow, right? So arithmetic underflow in the sense, so if the result that is too small in magnitude to be represented, so it cannot be represented, so it is too slow, then the result will show will be displayed as 0. Okay, so these are the two conditions that can occur. So if possible, you can try out these. Shall I type this in comment box?
Yes, ma'am. You can copy and paste, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Okay. So thank you, ma'am. So I have seen some results in the chat box. Uh, so this is what the arithmetic overflow and underflow. Okay. Uh, then input and output function in Python. So there are two keywords, that is input. So you can directly get input using this keyword. Okay. Suppose we have to get the basic pay from the user, you can use this. So basic pay is equal to input of enter the basic pay. Okay, but whatever you get input here, it will be stored as a string. Okay, input received is always a string here. Okay, so to convert it to integer, we have to use int function of Python. So type conversion should be applied here. Okay, so if we use this input keyword and if we get any input from the user, right, then it will be stored as a string. Input received is always will be a string. So this string should be converted to integer using int function. So int of input enter the basic pay. So what it means is, so the input we get from the user, it will be converted to integer format. Okay. So this is the syntax. So output function, we all know that print, then open brace, then inside we can give anything, then we can close the brace. So it will print whatever given inside the quotes. And we can also calculate something, not only displaying strings, we can use some arithmetic expressions here. So 4 cross 3, print of 4 cross 3, print of 16 divided by 4, or anything. So whatever you give, you will get the result. So this is repeated print. You can print a for 15 times using this syntax. Okay. So for example, if you give print keyword, then open brace, okay, inside the single quotes a, so what should be displayed for 15 times? Okay, it should be given in single quotes, then asterisk symbol, then 15. If you project like this, what will happen is, so a will be printed for 15 times. Can you, if you need, you can try this out. Okay, so in the second line, we have printed the new line for 15 times. So there will be 15 new line characters in the output screen. You can try this out and you can experiment it. So you can repeatedly print a variable, okay, for n number of times. So type conversion. So I told you earlier, so whatever you get input from the user using this input command, okay, it should be converted to particular format, right? So can you say in what data type it will be stored? Line is equal to, so we are getting some value, right? How many credits do you have? So user will be giving an input, so in which format it will be stored? Can anyone say?
String, ma'am.
Yes, string, right? So in this input, you can so you'll get some credits from the user. For example, you say the user enters 5 credits, right? So it is converted. It is converted to integer format and it is stored in different variable. Okay, not in the same variable, but this input is stored in different variable and it is used using type conversion here. Okay, int of line. So in line, it will be stored as string. Okay, this string will be converted to integer here. Okay, can you understand this? So this can be converted to any data type, right? It may be integer, it may be float. Okay, other than string, you can convert it to any data type. It is very simple in Python. So in Python, indentation and blocks, so it plays a vital role. So so if you give wrong indentation, then it will produce indentation error. Okay. So in for loop and everything, the space should be given properly. So if additional space is given, then you'll be getting an error. Okay. So white space and indents, these are used to denote blocks of code. So inside the loop, we should represent the code inside the loop and outside the loop. So for this purpose, we will be using indentation. Okay. So here lines of code that begin a block and end in a colon. So lines within the code block are indented at the same level. Then to end a code block, we should remove the indentation. Okay. If you will want blocks of code that run only when certain conditions are met. Okay. Inside if else, if else statements, then inside for loops and everything, you can see some indentation in Python. So this is for differentiating the code blocks inside the same program. So for example, you can see this conditional branching, okay, if and else. So if, okay, this is a keyword in Python, then variable is equal to condition. Some condition will be checked, right? So this variable may be anything, then condition may be anything. So here you should keep colon, okay? So it means that if this condition is satisfied, we should do something based on this condition, okay? Else we should do something that is based on another condition, that is this condition is not true, so some other operation should be done, okay? So if there are more than one condition to be checked, you should use elif command, okay, elif. So in cml we'll be using else if, right? In python we'll be using elif, okay? It is used for additional branching. If more than one condition is to be checked, we'll be using if and elif here, okay? So here you can see the syntax here. If condition, okay, colon should be given, then elif another condition, okay? So for all the conditions, the statement should end with colon, okay? Finally, if all these conditions are not satisfied, we should execute some other block, right? So finally else, okay? So colon is must. So these are the indentation and blocks. So this is most important in Python. So if you miss a colon or something, you will get the indentation error. Okay. You can check this out. If you have shell prompt, you can check this out. With you can give a condition, small condition. Okay. Then you can check this out. So without giving a colon, you will be getting indentation error. So then for loop. So for loop, for what purpose we'll be using for loop? So this is also very familiar to us. We have already learned this in C and everything. In all the high-level programming languages, this looping statement is there. Then most of the logic will come around this for loop only. Can anyone explain what is for loop?
If a set of operations needs to be executed again and again, then we go for the concept of identity.
Yes, ma'am. Some statements that is to be executed again and again, okay, under certain conditions. So some conditions, so whenever the condition fails, the loop will be stopping. Okay, so for loop will be used for looping the statements. So the same here, okay. So in case of Python, you will be using for keyword, then a variable in A, okay. So here consider a list example, okay. A is a list, so A is equal to, we have given some list here, okay, cat, window, okay, and defenestrate. So these are the three variables inside this A. So this is given inside a list. So we are now, what we are printing, we have to print the variables inside the list. So that is our notion. So what we should do is for x in A. So what is x? So the variables that is given inside the list, okay. Yes. So in A colon, here also you should give colon, otherwise you will get indentation error. Okay, you should be very cautious in using these things. So here there should be space. Okay, you can see a space here after for loop. So if there is no space here, then it will also show error. Okay. So these are the things to be considered in Python. Then here we are printing both the x and length of x. So length of x is nothing but we are just printing the length of this value. Okay. For example, in cat, the length of characters is 3. Okay. In window, the length of characters is 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So the particular variable is also printed, and its length of that variable is also printed. Okay. These are the results. So this is how we can access list using for loop. So I have shown this example because most of the ML methods, they'll be applying lists, tuples, then dictionaries. Okay, this is how we'll be using for loops for accessing these lists. Okay. So Python has additional modules. Okay, these are additional pieces of code that can further extend Python's functionality. So whatever module we need, we can import it wherever needed. Okay, so a particular module will do particular tasks alone. For example, in image processing, there are n number of modules. Okay, so n number of libraries in Python. So according to our needs, we'll be importing those libraries. Okay. Uh, so for example, ArcGIS scripting, okay, it is one of the module that will be used to load ArcGIS toolbox functions into Python. So if we need this GIS toolbox for our manipulating purposes, we can use this module. We can incorporate this into our Python code. Okay. So there are many libraries available in Python. So according to our needs, we can use this. For example, if we need to calculate matrix operations, then we can use NumPy. Okay. Then for displaying and visualizing results using graphs and something, you can use Matplotlib. Okay, we can plot it using that library. So there are n number of libraries here. So string method. So strings has some methods. Okay, we have seen just seen defining a string. So just displaying and printing the string. Here you can see some other functions. Okay, that is title, upper is digit and is lower. You can see the Python shell in my screen. Okay, here you can see the example. So here we have printed a string that is hello world. Okay, so this hello world is assigned to a variable. Okay, here hw is a variable. So this hello world string is assigned to this variable. Then if you give this function that is hw dot title, okay, what happens? What happens? So how a title should be printed? So we are giving some titles, right? So how a title will be displayed? How to write a title? In each word in the title, the first letter should be in uppercase, right? So instead
Yes,
of
ma'am.
manually changing here, if we call this function, okay, hw.title, so the value inside this hw is hello world now, right? So here there are two words. So in these both words, the first letter should be converted to uppercase. So this function does this job. Okay, it will display in form of a title. So the second one is hw dot upper. So what happens? What is uppercase? So
Capital
it
letters.
capital letters, ma'am. So everything will be printed in capital letters. Then we are checking a boolean function here. So hw dot is digit of. So whether the string is a digit, we are checking it. So it is not a digit, right? So it is false. Then HW is lower. So in HW, all the characters are in lower case. So we are checking whether it is in lower case. It is true. Okay. So these are some of the string methods. So these are more important. Okay. These are other Python objects. So lists, tuples, dictionaries. Okay. So lists are mutable sets of strings. Okay. It can be created like this. So variable is equal to open square bracket and close square bracket. This is how we create a list. Okay. So here we are assigning variables to a list. Okay. So where is equal to 1, 2, 3, banana. So we are assigning, so strings are given inside quotes. Okay. Normal numerical literals are given as it is without quotes, and other two strings are given here. So the list contains four variables here. Okay, tuples are immutable sets. I'll explain this, what is mutable and immutable. So tuples can be defined using open bracket and close bracket. Okay, so here we can define like this. Then dictionaries, so these are associative arrays or hashes. Okay, so it can be denoted by curly braces, open curly brace and close curly brace. Okay, so here it contains both key and the value. Okay, the first element will be considered as a key, and second will be the value of that key. Okay, I'll explain this with more examples. Okay, this is how we'll be declaring lists, tuples, and dictionaries. Okay, so what is mutable? What is mutable? So you can say the literal meaning alone. That's enough.
Can be changed, ma'am.
It can be changed. It can be modified. So here this one can be modified to another value. So the value in this position can be modified to another one. Okay. In case of tuples, we cannot modify anything. Okay. Once we assign the tuples, then it cannot be modified. So it is known as immutable. Then dictionaries also they can also be modified. Okay. So we can see this in detail. So list in Python is a heterogeneous container for items. Okay. So in C and C++ we have arrays, right? In Python we don't have arrays. So instead of using arrays, we'll be using lists here in Python. Okay. So as as represented in the array, what are the attributes that we have? How will you access an array? So if an array contains n number of elements, say for example 10 elements, how will you access each and every element in the array?
Check.
Ma'am, index, using the index of the array, right? As the same, so the same concept is applied here. So here also we'll be having an index. Okay, it will start from zero only. So we can use this index value to access the variables in the list. Okay. So how to declare a Python list? So this is how we can declare Python list. I'll You can do along with me. Okay, I'll copy and paste. You can do this along with me. So you can declare and see. Lists. Can you please try this out? Just declare these things. Just we are declaring the list. That's all. So in the second example, that is list one. So here three strings are given as variables. Okay, in this languages list. What is the difference that you can see in this example? The second one, list one is equal to 1, comma 2, comma 3, 4, comma 5, false, no. Can you say what is the difference here? So we all
The
know
total
that.
number of elements in this list is 5, ma'am.
Yes,
Total number
ma'am.
of elements, sorry. The total number of elements in this particular list is 5.
Okay,
Where
ma'am.
1 is fourth index,
Mm,
2 comma 3 will be in 1th index, 4 comma 5 will be in the second one,
mm,
false in third, and no will be in fourth,
mm.
and of different varied data types.
Yes, ma'am. That is the point. So you can see, so this list contains string and it contains a tuple. Okay, it contains a list inside the list. Okay, so we all know that list will be given inside square bracket. So you can see a list inside a list. Okay, then this is a tuple. So tuple is also given here. Then a boolean value is given. Then a string is given. So any kind of data type can be inserted inside the list. So that is the concept. Okay. So how can we access this Python list? So we have declared a list, right? So in order to display the list, you can just give the list name alone. Okay. So it is declared in list one. If you type this name of the list alone, you will get the output. Okay. The list will be displayed. This is very simple. Okay. So if we need to access a single item in the list, what we have to do? So as ma'am said, we should do this with indexing, right? So can you say what are the index in this list? So in zeroth index we have 1. Okay. In first index we have a list, that is 2 comma 3. Then second index we have 4 comma 5. Third index we have false, and fourth index we have a string. Okay. So here, what we are doing is, so two types of indexing can be done. Okay, it may be either positive indexing or negative indexing. So positive indexing is giving our index value as it is. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3 from leftmost item, it will be calculated. Okay, so for example, what will be the output of this list 1 of 3? List 1 of 3. If you type list 1 of 3 in the shell, what output will you be getting?
False, ma'am.
False, because in index 3 we have false boolean value here that will be displayed now. So what is negative indexing? So it is contrary to positive indexing. So negative indexing begins at -1 for the rightmost last item. Okay, it always starts from -1 from a right side. So in this list, so no will be in index -1, false will be in -2, okay, -3, -4, -5. So you can also index this using these negative indexing. For example, if I have to retrieve, I have to access this variable that is false. So what negative indexing I will be using?
-2, ma'am.
-2, yes ma'am. So this is the notion behind this. So if you give list 1 of -2, then what happens? So either you type only list 1 of -2, false will be printed. Suppose if you give the keyword type of list 1 of -2, the output will be the
Boolean.
boolean, because what type of data type it is. So for example, if I give type of list 1 of -3, then what will be my output?
STR.
str na -3.
-3, ma'am.
-3.
Tuple.
Tuple. Yes ma'am, yes ma'am, that's it. So we can access in this way. So suppose another possibility is there. So here the index value should not be given in float. Okay, if it is given in float, then we'll be getting this type error. So list indices must be integers or slices and not float. If you get this error, then the indexing is given as float. So we'll be getting these types of errors when executing ML algorithm. So it is nothing but, so some float value is passed inside this list name. So that is the error. So it should not be passed like this. We can use either positive indexing or negative indexing. So this is slicing a Python list. So what is slicing? To extract some particular elements, particular variables from the list. For example, you can take this one, list 1 is to 4. Okay. So what happens? So this is our list. Okay. 1 is so this is index 0. 1 is in index 0. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we have given is list 1 of 1 is to 4. So we should access retrieve the values from index 1 to 4. Then what will be our output?
2, 3, 4,
4,
5,
5.
and false.
False. Yes, ma'am. So this will be our output, right? So we can use negative indexing in the slicing operator too. Okay. So for example, list one of colon minus 2. If we give like this, so we can see the values printed is 1, 2, comma 3, 4, comma 5. How? So colon, we have given a colon in front of minus 2. So we are getting output like this. So how these variable these values are retrieved from the list? So what is the variable in index minus 2? So you can see this in this list.
False.
Now, ma'am, in this list you can see because we have sliced out. No, now list one contains these variables alone. So minus 1, minus 2. So before minus 2, all the variables will be printed. So both positive and negative indexing can be used here. Either positive indexing or negative indexing you can use for slicing. So you can take particular variables alone from the list. So the list is mutable. So as ma'am said, mutated means it can be changed. So we can reassign some variables. So we can delete some individual items. So according to our needs, we can do anything. So previously we have declared one list, that is languages, right? So it is displayed. So we have C++, Python, and Scratch here. So suppose if we type languages of 2, then what will be the output? Sorry, we have assigned language of 2 is equal to Java, right? So here 0, 1, 2. In second place, we have Scratch, right? Now we have assigned Java here. So this Scratch will be overwritten by Java. So now if you print this list, we will get C++, Python, Java. Can you get it? So if I reassign another variable to some particular index, so the previous value in that index will be replaced by the new one. So here index 0, 1, 2. In 2 we are replacing Java, right? So the Scratch will be overwritten by Java. So now if we print these languages, our output will be like C++, Python, and Java. Okay. So the list is mutable here. So if we need to delete particular values from the list, what will we do? This also based on the index alone. So del is the keyword used for deleting. So del languages of 2. What happens? The second index, the value in the second index will be deleted, right? So if you display the list now, you will get the output as C++, Python alone. So Java will be deleted now. Okay. So you can delete like this explicitly, or if you have to delete more than one value, okay, you can use this syntax also. So delete del languages of 1 is 1 colon. So if what does it mean? From first index, we should delete all the values in the list. Okay, so the remaining will be C++, because it is in the 0th index. So Python is in the first index. So from first index, all the elements will be deleted. Okay. So reassigning, we have already seen an example the same like this. So here we have declared a new list here only with integer. So if I have to reassign a single item, what I have to do? So index 0, I am replacing it with 0. Now what happens? This 1 will be replaced by 0. Okay, it is very simple. Now we can see what are tuples in Python. So like a list, tuples are iterable arrays of objects. Here also we'll be accessing using index alone. Okay. So the tuples are immutable. As I told you earlier, it is once created, it is unchangeable. If we need to add or remove items, what we should do? We should redeclare the tuple. Okay. But we cannot modify the existing tuple. Okay. This is one of the main concept in tuple. So example uses of tuples are, for example, tuple can be used for these things. That is country names and land use codes, ordered set of functions. So these will not be changed, right? So these are always um, immutable elements. So here we can use, so landline codes and everything, these will not be changed. So these can be declared as tuples. So based on the problem statement, we can either use list or tuples. So based on our needs, based on our application, so we should choose either tuple or list based on that. So to declare a tuple, we use that open brackets and close brackets that we have seen earlier. So here colors, a tuple is defined here. So colors is equal to red, green, and blue. So this is a tuple. So you can differentiate list, tuple, and dictionaries using this brackets. So square brackets for lists, okay. For tuple, this open bracket and close bracket, parenthesis. Then for for dictionaries, you should use open calibrace and close calibrace. So these are the things that differentiate between these three. So we should be careful while using these things while declaring tuple lists and dictionaries. So Python tuple packing. So what is meant by packing? So it is a term for packing a sequence of values into a tuple without using parentheses. So without using parentheses, we can even pack a Python tuple. Okay. So we can declare like this. So my tuple is equal to 1, comma 2, comma 3, comma. You can give a comma after the last value also. Either you can give it as 1, comma 2, comma 3. So if you display this, it will be shown as a tuple. Okay. We are not giving any brackets here. Okay, we are just assigning the values without using bracket parenthesis, but our output is saved as a tuple. Okay, this is known as packing. Then unpacking. So what is meant by unpacking? We are removing the existing brackets, right? So here you can see this example, a comma b comma c is equal to my tuple. Okay, we are assigning this my tuple to a comma b comma c. So what happens? This 1 comma 2 comma 3 will be assigned to a, b, and c respectively. So if we print a comma b comma c, what happens? 1 comma 2 comma will be 3 will be printed without parenthesis. So this is Python tuple unpacking. Okay. So the other data type is set. So what is the difference between sets and other lists, tuples, etc.? Can you please say?
It contains unique values, ma'am. Repetition.
Unique values. Yes, ma'am. Another one main difference is there. So what happens is whatever you declare inside the set, it will be arranged in ascending order.
Ah.
So in lists and tuples, whatever values you insert, it will be in that respective index alone. It will not be sorted. But in case of set, for example, you can see this example. So my set is one of the variable name. So here set is assigned, that is 3 comma 1 comma 2. So what happens? So here the output, if you print this one, it is changed in ascending order. Okay. So this is how the set is used. So mostly we'll not be using sets for ML and DL. We'll be using lists only. So more often we'll be using lists alone. So tuples in some rare cases. Uh, so you can know this. This is enough. So what is a set? So these are dictionaries. So dictionaries are sets of key and value pairs. So it will not be a single value. So it will contain both the key and value pairs. For example, so then we can identify the values by a descriptive name instead of order in a list. So we are accessing the list using some order, okay, using some indexing. Rather than using indexing, we can use values, some descriptive name for particular values. Okay. Here the keys are unordered unless explicitly sorted. So like in sets, it is not ordered. So here the values would be unordered. So we can explicitly sort this dictionary. So keys are unique. So where of item is equal to apple, where of item is equal to banana. So if you print where of item now, it prints just banana. Why? So initially we are assigning apple to this variable. Again we are assigning banana to this variable. What happens? The previously given value is overwritten by banana. Okay. So whatever we give in the last, so recently given value will be displayed in that variable name. Okay. So what is the notion behind dictionary? Okay. So have you used dictionaries in our real life applications? Nowadays we have Google, right? So other than Google, have you used the dictionaries? So during our school days, we'll be using dictionaries for referring the meaning of some particular names and words and etc. So how we'll be referring the meaning?
Key value pairs.
Key value pairs. So we'll be having some pairs of key values, right? So uh, the same idea is behind this dictionary. So rather than using the order to access the dictionary, we'll be using key value pairs here. For example, you can see. So here we have declared a dictionary, right? So my dict is equal to 1 is to 2, comma 2 is to 4, then 3 is to 6. So one what it represents is the first element will be the key value, the second element will be the value of the key. Okay. So this is the description, then this is the value that is stored in this place. For example, if you display this, it will be as it is printed as it is, right? Suppose if you have to access the variable from this dictionary, so here you can see my dict of 2, so the output is 4. So can you infer the results, how the results are taken? So if you see using the index, this is in zeroth index, this is in first index, this is in second index. So if it is retrieved using the index value, our output will be 6, right? Can you get my point?
But it is based upon the key value representation.
Yes, that's the point here. So uh, you can see the key value is 2. Okay, the key value, based on this key value, the value is retrieved. So this is the difference between normal list access and this is dictionary access. Okay, then you can also have a look at sets. So sets is also declared like this, okay, using Cali braces, and dictionaries are also declared using Cali braces. So what is the difference between sets and dictionaries? How can Python identify whether it is dictionary and whether it is set?
When it is key value, like colon is represented, means we call it as a dictionary.
Yes,
It
ma'am.
does not have that one.
Yes, yes. So that's the difference. So whenever we access using key and value pairs, then it is a dictionary. Okay. So these are some of the common differences among this list, tuple, set, and dictionary. So you can see that list is a non-homogeneous data structure. Okay, it stores the elements in single row and multiple rows and columns. Tuple is also the same as list. Okay. um, Set will also store but stores in single row. Okay, here multiple columns and rows are not used. Dictionary is also no non-homogeneous data structure, but it stores values with key and value pairs. Okay, so the list can be represented using square brackets. Okay, tuple can be represented by this braces parenthesis, then set can be represented by open calibration course database. Dictionary can also be represented by this, the same. Okay, so the key values can be the key value pairs will differentiate dictionary from sets. So lists can allow duplicate elements. Okay, if we insert duplicate elements in n number of index, it will allow, but tuple will also allow, but set will not allow duplicate elements. Okay, even if you insert the same value for n number of times, it will show you only one value. Okay, then dictionary also, it will also does not allow duplicate keys. So list can use nested. So nested means other data types can be used inside the list. Tuple can also use nested. Sets can also use nested things. Then dictionary can also use nested. For example, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So these are some examples of list. List can be represented like this. Tuple can be represented like this. Okay, sets will be like this, and dictionary will be like this. That is key value pair. Okay, here you can see strings are assigned to each key, so that's why we have given quotes here. If it is numeric value, then quotes are not needed. So list can be created using list. So there are some predefined functions in Python also. Okay, you can use that list function for creating lists. Then tuple function, set function, dict function. Okay, in case of uh, if we go for ML and DL, we'll not be explicitly defining like this. We can use this predefined functions that are already built in Python. So you can use these keywords for defining the list tuple, okay, set and dictionary. Then list is mutable. As I said earlier, it can be changed. We can modify any values inside the list, but tuple is immutable. Okay, we cannot make any changes in the tuple. Set is mutable. We can make changes in a set. Dictionary is also mutable. Okay, but keys cannot be duplicated. Okay, the keys will be unique, but we can change the values inside that particular key. So these are some of how these list tuples and dictionaries are can be applied in ML, where it can be applied. Do you have any idea? Anybody?
For storing data sets,
Hmm. For storing data sets. Yes, ma'am. For doing some operations, for sorting the data set or doing some pre-processing, so we'll be using list there. So tuples can be used for the output function. So output function. So what is ML? So I have seen that browser. So um, I saw that about basics of ML was covered yesterday.
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So you can say, so what is ML? And so some basic notion of ML should be known now. So that's why I'm asking this question. So where can you apply? So there will be some inputs, okay, that will be trained. So finally, we'll be getting some output. So that is prediction. For example, so in case of medical imaging, so I worked with brain tumor detection. So if I have the input sets as tumor data and non-tumor data. Okay, I'll train both these tumor images and non-tumor images using some supervised algorithm, machine learning algorithm, and finally I'll be predicting for the test set. So the new data that is not trained to the system. So while predicting, so I'll be getting either tumor or not tumor. It will not be changed, right? Only two output will be possible, not more than that. So these are fixed one. So output will not change. So either the result will be tumor or non-tumor. So in these cases, we can use tuples. So in so outputs are never changed. So it is immutable. So tuples can be used there. So dictionaries, can anyone relate it with ML? So we can use this for mapping some feature names and feature values. Okay, so between class labels, so we'll have some in case of supervised learning, we'll have some class labels, right? So in case of tumor images, I'll be having some for this image, so the label will be 0 or 1. So 1 means it contains tumor.
Branching purpose.
Ma'am?
Can we use it for branching purpose, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, we can use.
Okay.
We can use. So I'm just relating it with applications. That's all. So where these will be useful. So this list, tuples, and dictionary. So this workshop is mainly for ML, right? So I'm just connecting with the applications. While you're doing some practical implementation, you can get to know about these things. So these are the basics of Python. So these will be applied there. Without knowing this, we can't apply. We can't write code for some ML problems. Okay. Um,
Ma'am, we'll be using label encoding concepts, right, ma'am? They're all the concept of dictionaries will have its impact, right?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Okay. So my presentation is over. So if there are any queries, you can ask.
Participants, you have any queries, you can raise your hand so that we'll unmute you and you can put your queries over here.
Okay, you can type it in the comment box also. I'll answer. No issues. Hope this session was useful to all of you. So I have covered some basic notions in Python, basic things in Python. Okay, then I have covered some main data types that will be useful for ML.
Ma'am, we found it more useful, ma'am, because we were able to work out and see the step-by-step format of whatever has been discussed in the session.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Um, so, so I think there are no queries. So I don't know. The audience were very calm. I don't know whether they took all the points or something. Ma'am, you are. Thank you for your cooperation. You answered me a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
No, the,
Thank you.
the concepts was really simple only, but we were able to work out and see.
Mm.
So, and the session was more useful, ma'am. Yeah, to
Uh,
be very honest, yes.
okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
To participants, if they have any questions, they can post in the chat.
If you want, you can raise your hand so that we'll unmute yourself, ma'am. Participants, if you want to ask any queries, you can raise up your hands so we'll unmute you.
I believe almost all participants are clear with the content.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for providing me this opportunity. Uh, so
Thank you
that I,
that you helped us in the last moment too.
no issues, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am.
Mm.
So shall we officially close the session for the day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Once again, I'll go for formal vote of thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it by William Otterward. I, on behalf of my department and the entire team, thank you personally and professionally about the session, ma'am. It was really wonderful. Dr. S.T. Padmapriya, Assistant Professor, Data Science, Department of Applied Mathematics and Computational Intelligence, Tyagaraja College of Engineering, Madurai, for accepting our invitation to be a part of this session. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge on the respective topic. And the step-by-step procedure what you have introduced during the session was really very useful for us. We were able to work out on it. And a special thanks to other department members and the faculty delegates too. And we are thankful to our principal, Dr. K. Karunakaran, the CEO, Dr. K. Karunakaran, Jaya ma'am, and our beloved staff members for their constant support and motivation. And a special thanks to the organizing committee for their unflinching support and coordination to make this FDP of today a grand success. Thank you so much. And the feedback link has been shared onto the YouTube as well as the Meet link. Thank you all once again. We'll meet you tomorrow at 10 o'clock for the third day of FDP. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.